I'm going to say it. It was a better episode. Yes, I know that in most first episodes, they're not gonna go out and say everything and put out the whole premise and plot in the first episode. But I found that the first episode was very poorly written, and maybe in a better way of saying it was very lazily written, but maybe it was by design, because this episode 2 flowed a whole lot better. I know for the first part, I believe, or episode 1, it was more to set the tone for how to make Loki go from the Loki of 2012 into the Loki that we are more familiar with. Now, with saying that, I still found this Loki very out of character. It doesn't feel like the same Loki. He's bumbling, he's stumbling. Yes, he is the same quick witty, quick response Loki that we're used to, but it's just different. Mind you, I know some of you guys might think, oh, no shit, it's a variant, and I get all that. But it's just they have moved away from the Loki that we all, I don't want to say grew up watching, but got used to watching. Because depending on how old you are, you didn't really. I guess we all kind of did grow up, right, watching them. But I felt like, maybe after watching episode 2, I kind of sat there and thought, well, maybe episode 1 was written that lazily or without much pizzazz, if you will, to allow for episode 2 and hopefully episode 3, 4, 5, and 6 to be able to breathe, to get all that boring, exposition out of the way, which they did a ton of. It was like, I've heard people say it was a reminiscent episode, it was a flashback episode. Whatever, it was a way for the show to just get this variant of Loki caught up with the situation. So I found that the writing for this episode was on par with what I'm used to Marvel presenting us. It was a lot more, the pacing was good, the flow, the interactions, just the way the story developed after episode 1 from the beginning to the end. I was intrigued. I was, looking at everything, hearing everything. They started getting to the point of this series, and given that it's only 6 episodes, maybe that led to a little bit of the frustration I felt in episode 1. But again, I will say I enjoyed this episode. I'm glad that Marvel is taking risk. They managed to turn it around. Maybe, again, it was always in the cards, right? Because this episode aired. I know some people were privileged to watching episode 1 and 2. I think that this show would have benefited more with having a Wanda-style releasing the first 2 episodes. Yes, I understand. Those were a half an hour as opposed to these are around 50 minutes minus the credits. Give it 40 minutes. So it's not, 20 minutes more of content. And I get that you want to stretch it out. But given the fact that you have a slay of movies coming out after this movie and some during this movie, I think the Loki series is going to still be on now that Black Widow got moved up. I think it would have done itself more of a service if they released it as a 2-episode drop as opposed to the 1-episode drop that we got. It would have shed some more light on what they were trying to portray. And I didn't say this in the first review that I did for the episode 1, but I enjoy the music. The score for this series is top notch. It's unique. They have, I can't remember the name of the instrument that they did on Star Trek. That it's the same instrument, and they're using it with such a mysterious kind of. It fits with the show so good, and just my props go to the music director, music producers for this series. Top notch on that. So I wanted to definitely give them credit. I'm gonna veer off a little bit just to defend one thing of this series. So I watch, after I do my reviews, I try not to look at reviews to not let it get synced into my head, or let any biases from other YouTube channels or other review networks and stuff like that to influence the way I think or the way I review things. So after, I think it was after episode 1. I'm not going to mention names because I'm not here to bag on anybody or diss anybody, but I heard a couple of YouTube channels, actually like 2 or 3, talking about Lady Loki, or Sophia Martino's acting off these first 2 episodes, because some of them were privileged enough to see the first 2 episodes back to back in pre-screenings and stuff, and they were so hard on Martino in her performance, and she was literally in 30 seconds of actual exposition, or with her face on the camera. And I find that criticism very, very harsh. What, do you guys not like her as an actress? I mean, what did she do to get all this criticism from you guys? She literally was on screen for half an hour, not even half an hour, I mean for 30 seconds, half a minute. And I just heard nothing but like, oh, her performance was bad, and because she's Lady Loki, she needs to bring more to the table. I'm like, what is she not? How are you judging this on? So I don't know if there were fake critics that didn't really see the whole first 2 episodes together, or what they were watching, but I felt that was super unwarranted. I love the acting from Tom, from Owen, from most of the cast, and people are gonna grill me on this last part, but the actress that is playing Hunter B-15, Mosaku, I think it's her last name. I can't pronounce it. I don't want to butcher her name now. I'm sure she's a very nice person, very nice lady, but her acting for the second time now in these 2 episodes has been so bad. The only time she literally surprised me was when she got taken over by Loki, or Lady Loki, and she started acting like Loki. I was like, wow, look at her act. Like that's her. The way she embodied Loki was so good. And then when she turns back into B-15, I was like, what the hell? Why is her acting performance so dry? Is there like a backstory on this? Did she not get a role that she really wanted to play, and she just, she got forced to play this role? I mean, it's a speaking role. It's kind of a major thing for the first 2 episodes. She's been right center in both of these episodes, and I don't mind that she's strong and she's leading her battalion. Her acting is dry as fuck, and it feels forced. It feels like she doesn't know how a military or an officer will act in kind of more of an, it's unnatural, and you could see it through her performance, and it takes me out every time I see her. I'm dived in, I'm flowing with the story, and then she comes on screen, and with her acting, it just takes me out. Again, I'm sure she is a great woman, and maybe the how they casted her is making her feel uncomfortable, but for that little bit of time, it does take me off, just because her acting is so dry when she's on camera, when she's portraying B-15. But other than that, again, I said it in the beginning, I really enjoyed this episode a ton better than the first episode. And just judging it, again, as a standalone episode 2, really good. Engaging. The pacing, I said before, was on point. There was really no lulls, and even in the lulls, you happen to have more, like when he was sitting down finding out that Asgard was destroyed. That was very touching. Tom is doing a great job. He's acting his ass off. The script was a little still lazy in parts, but the acting carried that over, where you couldn't even notice it. You were just kind of enthralled. But anyways, those are just my opinions. I would love to hear your opinions down in the comments. Like always, like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, and that's a wrap.